Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of CRN In Depth. My name is Athina Mallis and I'm the editor at CRN Australia, and with me is Aaron Raj, the editor at CRN Asia. Welcome, Aaron.
Hi, Athena. Thanks for having me. As always, glad to be here to share some insights again.
Glad to have you here. Love having you here. So today we are talking about RAMAGGEDON, a very silly term for a very serious issue that is impacting the channel globally. So, Aaron, can you tell me a bit about what's going on and what RAMAGGEDON is?
Well, basically, long story short, it's just that there is a shortage of RAM globally because most of the RAM that is being produced right now is going to the data centers. There's been a significant increase in AI data centers, and they need a lot more RAM to meet the capacity to get the stuff working there. And the number of RAMs being manufactured is also not at the capacity that is meeting the demand. So right now we've only got like three major global RAM manufacturers, which is Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron. All these three companies already, I think they provide about 93% of the total global RAM production, but that is still not enough. Some of the companies like Micron has made some investment in Singapore earlier this year. They announced it, but by the time that facility comes up, it'll only be next year. So it's still some time before this problem actually gets sorted. But what we are really seeing right now, what companies are actually seeing, is the price go up. So the long-term effect or the short-term effect basically is you're going to see prices of normal devices like laptops, even TVs could increase because of the shortage of the chips. But I don't know, is it looking the same like in Australia as well? In Asia, there's definitely been a price increase in some of the products already.
Australia is really feeling the pinch as well. I spoke to a reseller, Computer Alliance. They're based in Brisbane, and they are seeing prices double. Prices go up, from maybe $50 to $200 on just 8 GB of RAM. It's just astronomical for them. That they're going, this is actually worse than COVID, which is such a big call because they were impacted by COVID and all the shortages. But they're saying this is just much worse, and because it impacts everything basically for them.
That is very interesting that you mentioned COVID, because I was speaking to a vendor recently, and he was saying that unlike COVID, which they could reroute supply chains and still meet the demand overall, the RAM shortage is a totally different kind of scenario because although they see a solution coming in the next 2 years, what happens from now to the next 2 years is the price increase, and that's going to be a really big, have a big impact on how vendors and even distributors and partners, how they do their business. Because, like for example, in Singapore, Malaysia, and all that, some of the products, the prices have gone up by 300-400%, and that's really concerning because during COVID, yes, prices did go up as well, but it wasn't an impact as to this. You still had alternatives, but here you're pretty much the alternatives are quite limited actually here. Yeah, when it comes to the RAM problem, for example, in Singapore, what they're doing is some companies are going to take RAM from old laptops. So there's a few places in Singapore where they're taking old laptops, taking out the RAMs from those laptops and reselling them. There was a report that said that these RAMs are these pre-used RAMs are possessing high demand in China and in other smaller countries in the region. But the reality is the shortage is really impacting businesses over the next few months. We may not see it now, even the price is going up now, but the second half of the year is where we will really see the impact and prices really, really going up.
I can't believe it. They're taking old RAM from laptops. That's insane. You know it's bad. We're starting to recycle storage. That's nuts. Maybe my old hard drives in like my storage box somewhere might be worth a couple $100. Make some money. But I guess speaking to partners in Asia and in your region, what are they saying? What's the common trends that you're hearing from them?
The common trend is, the common trend that they're saying is, they don't really have a choice. Vendors will have to increase the prices because, at the end of the day, they would want they need to be surviving as well. And this is where distributors and the partners are going to be facing the most challenge because, as price go up, will customers actually pay? Yes, some customers will pay, but not everyone's going to actually pay for these kind of prices. And, in countries like Malaysia, because the RAM mostly is going to the data centers, and in countries like Malaysia, they announced, the government announced, that they are going to freeze the development of the new data centers that are not, they're not serving AI needs. But the problem is, when you have more AI data centers, you're only going to need more RAM and more compute infrastructure. And so, in a way, it is the situation. I mean, growth of AI is basically fueling the shortage of RAM. And as businesses also increase their use of AI, overall, the whole industry is going to have basically a global shortage of how do they solve it and what's going to happen in the long run. Can they prioritize their existing infrastructure and work with that to run their AI applications, or do they just spend more to get more RAM and hopefully get it as well in time to support their AI expansion plan? That's a very interesting situation right now, and this is where vendors they don't really have a choice. They say they have to increase the prices, and distributors are also caught in between. They're like, what can we do? We're at mercy.
Yeah, and it's something that we're seeing, something you're seeing in Australia as well. I was speaking to a partner, Zara Tran, who is the founder of Champions of Change, and she's an HPE partner. And she's saying that from what used to be, when she was making orders, it used to be maybe I'm going to say, couple of weeks in getting her orders in, or people, or getting her orders in or getting product, to now being pushed out to months. She's going, this is insane. Like, this has never happened before.
But at the end of the day, it's not just really a dollars and cents game. It's also how you survive and cope with this scenario. So like I mentioned, some companies are already looking at alternatives, looking at old RAMs and other forms of even virtualization is something that they are considering. But although that can be quite a heavy process as well and quite complicated to execute. But it remains to be seen. I mean, we're in the third month of the year. We will probably see this peak in the second half of the year and probably early next year. But we never know. I mean, we've got global, conflicts happening as well. We don't know how that's going to impact the production of RAM and basically the entire AI industry in the long run as well. So that remains to be seen. And so it's going to be very interesting over the next few months. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very interesting time to be a tech journalist right now. But thank you so much, Aaron, and we'll speak next time.
All right. Bye-bye.